Hey guys, this is Will of TyBL and welcome back to our channel. The episode 2 of Bad Buddy was aired last Friday and I think the series is in good start with the plot it shows. After watching the second episode, there were a lot of thoughts going on in my head and I also want to know your opinion about this series as well. In this video, I will be sharing some differences of the series and novel, some scenes from the novel that the series could adapt into, and of course some spoilers that you might want to know based on the novel. Just a reminder that these spoilers may or may not happen at all, so take these with a grain of salt. Anyway, if you live in a different country and some BL series are not available to yours, you can use ExpressVPN to watch those restricted series. Use the link on the description below to have 49% discount and 3 months free if you opt to avail the 12-month plan. Without further ado, let's get right into the video. Most comments and opinions that I have read so far for Bad Buddy are mostly positive and encouraging for others to watch the said series. If I were to be asked, I'm actually enjoying this BL so much, although I would agree that the plot is kind of cliche at this point. It's really not a bad thing since cliche plots are not only being done in BL series but also to other genres as well. What I really admire in the first 2 episodes of this series is the acting of the main characters, especially Om and Nanan. The two are really great actors when it comes to portraying the needed emotions and the right facial expressions for particular scenes. I'm not really bothered at all with the fight scenes since those are relevant to the plot and are needed to keep the development of the story. The chemistry of both Om and Nanan with one another is also a chef's kiss, and I wasn't expecting their tandem to be that good when the trailer was first announced. I am hoping that the following episodes would even showcase their great chemistry so the story would also move forward. If you have already done reading the novel version of Bad Buddy, then you would know that the plot of the episode 3 next week regarding the broken pavilion wasn't in the novel at all. In fact, the novel focuses more on the school activities of both Pat and Pran regarding on their thesis and not mainly on other things. Aside from that, the novel also has a lot of fight scenes between the two gangs, so the scriptwriter might want to skip some of those in order to move on to the next plot. The pavilion scene that we will be getting next episode might be the chosen plot in order to twist the story by making Pat and Pran work with each other and to make them closer with one another. If you have watched the first episode of Bad Buddy 2 weeks ago, the opening scene was Y being chased by Pat and his gang. I don't know if that was just an underlying scene for the series or it was made for Pat's character development soon in the series. There was actually a time when Pat was so much jealous of Y that he knocked him down because of being so mad. Pran and Y was having their meal on the central when Pat suddenly knocked down the bottle of water on the table. This made Y so much angry to Pat, and that made Pran to meddle between the two before the teacher could see them fighting one another. Although the fight was stopped before it happened, Pat and his gang were seen punching some of Pran's juniors in an area. Pran and Y immediately went to the situation and another fight between the two gangs arose. When Pran looked at Y, he already saw him unconscious on the ground. Pran also looked at Pat and he said to himself that he was like a different person on that scene. Since the series is not made on the point of views of both characters, it's much harder to decipher their feelings only by seeing their actions towards each other. Unlike the series, the novel would reveal in the earlier chapters that Pat has already liked Pran by calling him on his mind. My precious Pran. There were a lot of moments where Pat would call Pran like he is his boyfriend, although the thing between their gangs was still going on. Pran would also show some feelings for him, but not that quite obvious like what Pat is doing in the novel. When Pat saw Pran was with someone else, Pat was so jealous that he drank so hard that made him intoxicated. Pat was even robbed by the taxi he hired to take him home because of being so drunk. Then Pat decided to call Pran to ask for help and the latter immediately went to the scene although it was already 2 in the morning. Pran wiped the body of Pat on his room to sober him up. On that scene, Pat revealed to Pran that he is jealous whenever Pran is close with anyone, even with his gang. Pat wanted Pran to be good only for him and not for other people. Of course Pran wouldn't want to accept it and just called Pat a crazy one. In the end, Pat fell asleep on the lap of Pran. Just like what I have told you a while ago, Pat was like a different person when he beat Y during an encounter between their gangs. Pran was actually quite shocked on what he saw on that day. To be clear on this context, Y is actually Pran's best friend. They were already friends even before the university, so it makes sense for Pran to defend his best friend when he is in a dangerous situation. That's also the reason why Pat became so jealous of Y. The two are actually close with one another unlike with their other friends. After the fight scene, Pat immediately went to Pran's room to apologize on what happened earlier. Pat also wanted to talk it about inside Pran's room, but Pran already said that he did not want to talk about it. Pran went inside his room to get Pat's doll to return it to him. Pat said to him that it was Pran's juniors that started the fight first, but Pran replied that he was always a sensitive one. In the end, Pran wanted Pat to not see him again and reminded him that they should act like enemies because they are enemies after all. Pat only looked at Pran's eyes with so much deep while Pran did not want to see his eyes in order not to feel anything. Bad Buddy is currently my favorite BL series at the moment, and I'm hoping that this show would be even more beautiful and interesting as weeks go by. The series and novel are really different on each other and it's really hard to compare the two because both are good on their own ways. Again, these scenes from the novel might not happen at all in the series, but it's better to see the other side of the story. Thank you for watching. That's it and see you on the next one.